Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Only Murders in the Building Season 2, Episode 9 review. We are really close now to the finale. Everything is just like blowing wide open.
Yep, and that's why we needed Coco Chanel here to help us because there are a lot of new evidence, theories, things that have come up now that are kind of like, what?
Everything is being blown right open. Okay, ultimate TV cliche is being like, oh, we'll give you answers, but we'll introduce more questions.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like, we seemingly know now, like, how a lot of this is coming together, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm still really confused about some things, to be honest, and I think we're gonna need you guys' help to try to figure out exactly all the different connections here.
Yeah, we all need to put on our detective caps because this episode ended with them being like, it's Cinda, and I don't think it is.
It's really okay. All right, before we try to piece this together, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We will be here, of course, to talk about the finale of Only
Mm-hmm.
Murders in the Building. Also, this weekend, House of the Dragon is finally premiering. We will see if it can do the Game of Thrones name proud, and by the Game of Thrones name, I mean the first few seasons of Game of Thrones. So we will see.
Also follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. Okay, let's get really into this because this season, they've really raised the bar. They brought in, like last season felt like if you really sort of thread through that season, you could kind of figure out where it was going. It was a really just a little more linear flow, which is good for a first season to sort of get us all introduced,
Yeah.
make us all feel like we can figure it out. There have been a lot of clues this season as well that are flowing towards who I think a lot of us are now starting to circle around, sort of the Cinda, Poppy. There's been something going on there. I mean, I said this early on where I was just like, why was Cinda and Poppy there when the trio was getting arrested? They do not live in that building. They are not in the area. How did they know to be there? There was something really weird about it. And now more is starting to come out. But I feel like the threads have been there that they are somehow connected. But this Becky reveal, what? No, I didn't see this coming. I'm sure there was some kind of threads there. I'm going to have to go back and watch, but I didn't see that coming.
You know what, guys? I don't think Jared did it anymore. I think I'm gonna have to abandon that
Oh,
theory.
listen, I'm out on Charles's dad as well. I knew he was still sort of connected to this story, and they gave us the connection here.
Well,
My
okay.
dreams of Clint Eastwood coming back and being the murderer, they're over.
We don't get in Clint Eastwood. We don't get. Okay, you know what?
No, I'm eating my theory. I'm eating the whole sandwich. We're here, guys.
Well, you know what? Let's all go back in a little bit of a time machine. Time machine really been a big theme in the past 24 hours of TV.
Yeah.
But like, okay, we are gonna go back to the very start of this series. It's Not Okay in Oklahoma. This is the podcast that really brought Charles and Mabel and Oliver together.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, Cinda Canning was trying to figure out what happened to Becky Butler. Becky Butler, like, even at the start of this episode when they were getting into this, it's like, why are you guys reminding us of this? And it's just like, wow, this is a lot more connected to the very start of season 1 than anyone first thought.
Yeah, which brings it back to sort of what Mabel was saying at the end of last season. Oh, all this, it feels like there's still loose ends and things that are out there. And there is. I mean, here we are. So, how many people out there think that it's Cinda? How many people out there think that it's Poppy? I mean, there's not that many suspects that are kind of left out there after this episode. It's absolutely connected to the two of them. So here's my theory now
All
of
right.
where we are. I'm out on Charles's dad. It's not him. But I do think that it's Poppy under duress. So now with this new reveal, that she was Becky. I'm starting to feel like, and Cinda's connection to Krebs, where he was like, oh, this woman I'm in love, and she's manipulating him. Cinda, I think, stepped into her podcasting role as a fraud. So it feels like maybe Cinda met up with Poppy when Poppy was Becky and something was happening to her. There has been sort of this theme of people going through situations like what Rose Cooper went through, where she, had a man that was really awful to her and she had to disappear herself. It's possible that that theme is running in with Becky as well, that she was in a really bad situation and she couldn't figure out how to get out of it. And then here comes Cinda with this great idea of, listen, I'll help you disappear. We'll kill you off. We'll bring in Krebs. We'll have this all sort of put together this way so that you can then become Poppy, work for me. I'll hang this over you for the rest of your life so that you'll just do what I want. I'll be able to get this really good podcast together because I will know all the details of it because I created it, because I'm a fraud. And so what I think is happening is now, because Poppy is under Cinda, who's like, do what I want kind of thing, that they were probably getting to a point where Cinda needed another podcast and Poppy was feeling really stressed about it. Her research wasn't bringing anything new. This new podcast was starting to roll and get really popular. And Cinda was like, I want something like that. And Poppy was like, well, she's got this thing over me, so maybe I'll help create something like that, as well as get rid of this other podcast at the same time. Because if this murder happens and we pin it on these guys, 2 for 1. These guys are out of here. Cinda has something else. She keeps me safe. She keeps my secret, and everybody wins.
Okay, this is all about to get very messy. I'm going to say that here right now first. Okay, I think your theory is probably where the show is going, because I think that's something that it podcasts, huge theme of the show. It can be explained really well in the episode. Now, where I'm going here, and this is a real swing for the fences, everybody.
It's not going to be bigger than Charles's 90-year-old
okay,
father showing up and killing
this
people.
Is where we go with the crazy theory. So, okay. I feel like I just keep coming back to this idea of like, why Bunny? Like, why kill Bunny? Why were there these calls made or questions made to Rose Cooper about the painting? Why did somebody meet up with Bunny at the diner before all of this happened? Like, it just feels like there's something that's personal here, and it's something that is not entirely clear as of yet. But hear me out here for a second. What if Bunny is actually Poppy/Becky's mother? And where I'm going with that is that we have seen already in this show examples of people being abandoned, or people being left behind, or people being forgotten. And what if Bunny never cared for Becky? Becky was sent off somewhere else. He never really knew her mother. And maybe after whatever happened in Oklahoma that led to sort of this arrangement that you're talking about, where Cinda helped to sort of give Becky this new life, Cinda in turn also got this really successful podcast off the ground. What if then Poppy then discovers the truth about Bunny, that Bunny is there, she is out there, she's starting to realize, okay, in between, she's got this painting, she lives in this building, she's got, money and resources. Like, why did she never help me? I could have had a very, very different life than what I had. And then I can sort of see it where then Poppy is going to try to reach out to Bunny. She's going to try to have some communications. Bunny may not want anything to do with it for whatever reason. That may be why she's sort of saying, oh, the person I met up with the diner, that was not a friend, because she wouldn't consider Poppy that. It would justify to me sort of the reaction of, oh, why are you here at my apartment? I told you to go away. What is going on here? And then that happens, and that gives sort of a personal sort of motive behind why Poppy would want to go after Bunny in particular. But then, yes, Cinda then very much benefits from this as well, because Cinda then gets more content. And hey, maybe Cinda even figured out that Poppy did this, and Cinda's like, I'm going to blackmail you with this as well.
Yeah, because if it's either Cinda or Poppy, Bunny knew that person when they were at the
Yeah.
door, where she was like, what are you doing here? So there would have to be some sort of more personal connection, because there's still a personal connection to this painting as well. Like, what is it? So here's the other thing that we did learn.
Yeah.
I thought that Leonora and Rose Cooper were the same person, and I was kind of close.
You're
As
close.
it turns out that this person just wasn't Leonora. They were only Rose Cooper, but they were pretending to be Leonora.
Yeah.
And then we had a bit of a conclusion about Charles's father, because he had always thought that his father was kind of a bad dude and did all these terrible things, and thought that maybe he did something really terrible to Rose Cooper. And she was like, no, he was the love of my life. Like, under this painting is another painting. And shout out to the person in the comments who mentioned that. I can't remember what your username is, but there was one person in our comments that called that out, that there was some other secret under the painting. So I want you to high five yourself, because you got that right.
That, by the way, I love all things that have like, oh, there's a painting under the underpainting, or oh, there's a secret under the Constitution. Like anything that makes me think about National Treasure, I'm like all in on that. It was a very cool reveal that painting existed. It's a sense of personal closure for Charles, but yeah, it does also still raise the question of why does the killer care at all about this painting? And it just feels like, to me, Cinda is too smart to go in there and kill Bunny herself. It's just like, I can't see in a million years her putting herself in that sort of jeopardy.
No, it's not a coincidence that Poppy and all her assistants all look like her. So that if something does sort of end up happening, there's a bunch of people that look like Cinda. So it kind of gives her a bunch of different, not alibis, but a bunch of like, look at who's around me. You're going to say that it's me. It could be any of my 15 assistants that all look like me.
Yeah.
It really feels like it's Poppy. It wouldn't be Cinda. But Poppy said a few episodes ago when she was talking to Mabel that she was like, listen, Cinda has a lot of secrets. There's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes with her, where all the bodies are buried. And she sounded very afraid. And that's mostly why I think Poppy probably did this, because fear is a really big motivator. That if she's afraid that Cinda's going to expose who she is and what they did, I mean, this is a huge deal. Like, she could go to jail for this. If there was a reason why she was trying to disappear, that person could still be out there. I mean, there's a lot going on. And when you kind of fall down that hole of fear, and that person is your boss, and you just, I really think it has to be one of the two of them, but mostly I'm leaning into Poppy. But what is the personal connection? Could it be that maybe at the time, with your theory, if Bunny did get pregnant and she wasn't married at that time, maybe her mother was like, no, we're gonna, send you off to some secret place to have this kid, and then we're gonna, ship this kid off, and you'll come back and, like it never happened. Like, what was there?
I just feel like there has to be something more here that we don't know about, and whether it's a secret of Bunny's, or that's something that connects Poppy to Bunny in a way that we don't know, or even, of course, something that connects Cinda to Bunny, and this is Poppy just sort of acting out of this sort of fear, and this, because this is the other thing, and this is where I think, your theory here about it being driven mostly by, Cinda needs more content, Poppy's doing this for her, is that I've been trying to figure out why in the world Poppy would have asked for that promotion earlier this season, because it is like, if she is like afraid of Cinda so much, and Cinda has all this blackmail on her, it's like, why would you even bother asking? Because the answer is going to be no. Well, maybe it is that, okay, I killed Bunny for you, so you should give me something more.
Yeah, that she is helping, and really has helped, create this whole podcast this whole time. Because if Cinda has been a fraud since the beginning, where she just happened to stumble in on Krebs, who was lovesick and would do what she wanted, And Poppy and her situation being Becky, where she's like, oh, look at this. I've just kind of stumbled into some gold. We're going to make up this whole situation. I'm going to podcast it, win all my awards, and then you'll be under my thumb. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. You can be my researcher. I'll make sure that you're taken care of for the rest of your life. That it does then turn into, well, Cinda was a fraud from the beginning. Then she's going to need to continue to do that because she made up the first case.
All this, I think there's a real potential for this to be a really interesting, satisfying reveal. I hope they stick the landing. I will say one of the biggest pleasant surprises for me this season is when we got Michael Rappaport in the premiere. Mm-hmm. I just thought this was just like kind of a one-off thing, a fun little Easter egg, an actor that some people like, just a social media personality that a lot of people really like. I had no idea he was going to be so intertwined as Krebs this season. I'm really happy for it.
Yeah, and also, okay, let's talk about the Oliver reveal.
Yeah.
I think we all knew that Teddy was actually Will's father, and that was going to be a thing. It was an interesting way that they put this together. Of course, we saw Oliver attack Teddy and be like, how could you? Then they get to the other side of it where he's like, listen, like, Will is all I have. And I've told Will, and, I've asked his mother to do the same, that we are going to just continue on this lie for him. Like, it's just so far down into his life that we're just going to be where we are, that I am his father and we're asking you to do the same. And Teddy's kind of like, I screwed up my other son. Like, I'm fine with that. I can do that. And there's been a lot of theories out there. We've even talked about here at the channel that we might see a situation where the next person who ends up dead is Teddy. And this is sort of setting that up as a possibility, and Will as a suspect. What if he finds out?
It's a legitimate possibility at this point, because if you're going to kill somebody else in the finale, which presumably they will, this is the name of this show, really.
Yep.
I think that they want it to be a character who's notable, a character who's important. And, Nathan Lane's got a lot going on. I don't know how long conceivably you can really have him on this show. I think having it happen that way, putting Will in some jeopardy, having Oliver in a position where he wants to try to help his son, especially if his son is not involved. I mean, there are plenty of people seemingly who would want to kill Teddy out there. I can't imagine this is the only group of people who would have a slight against him.
No, we know that he's had all kinds of issues with other people in his grave robbing business. And there's a lot of people that could want Teddy dead. And it feels like the next logical step of the next person that's going to go. And that would give Oliver a very juicy story next season.
Funniest part of this episode by far is we have the fight in the elevator.
With Howard.
Howard shows up. He thinks it's just awkward. And then they just start fighting with Howard. And he's just like, ugh.
It was so well done.
Yeah, that is what makes this show so good. It's like that element of surprise where you think it's going to go one way. And no, they don't care that Howard is there whatsoever.
Now, they brought back Alice, and I know they brought her back for that puzzle piece and all that, but I was kind of like, I really didn't need to see this. It was like, I don't know. I mean, even with the actress who was a bunny mom for a while, she had a bunny in 2014. So, I have a bunny. I like people that have the bunnies. It's very sweet. This didn't mean anything. There was no real reason for this, where she was just like, oh, I'm really sorry. Here's this puzzle I made for you. It's just like, they could have figured out a way to get Mabel to figure this out without that puzzle piece. It could have happened. Yes, it could have.
Only Murders in the Building writers, I'm speaking to you guys now. Don't give Mabel a love interest in season 3. I mean,
not unless you're bringing Oscar back, and I think the actor's busy, but
I don't need this sort of storyline anymore. I didn't need Alice in this. I think Mabel was a little bit too quick to even have Alice in her place, given everything that Alice did. Like, that's some,
agreed.
Don't even come into my apartment sort of stuff.
No, it was such a creep show. It didn't need to happen.
No.
I think there was another way that they would have been able to figure that out.
Yeah.
They could have made some sort of connection with Krebs. I mean, he gave away about the podcast in their conversation.
Yeah.
That was enough.
Yeah, like that's Krebs, Mr. I don't say anything unless I have to. Come on, you're so arrogant.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but okay. We will have a lot to talk about next week with the finale, a possible cliffhanger, answers.
Yep.
Buckle up. Okay, well, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Check out our Instagram, Matt and Jess TV, and we'll see you here next time.